Hey Dolly fans, this is Kristen from Chrissy's Cuties, and today I'm here to talk to you about something that I use a lot. If you've watched my other videos, you've seen me mention Sugru many times. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to use it today. The first thing you need while working with Sugru is a non-porous surface like a styrofoam plate or even something like parchment paper so the Sugru won't stick to it. Here's my doll that I'm going to use today to show you how to apply it. Sugru comes in a multitude of colors. I normally use white, but I also have other colors like brown, green, and black. They also have gray, yellow, and a lot of colors of the rainbow, but I try to stick to the natural colors because I use that a lot in hair that I make. And you will notice every single one of these packets is original formula. I don't use the family friendly because it tends to stick to your fingers and makes it really difficult to work with. So here she is, and we're going to get ready to start working with her now. On a packet of Sugru, you'll see there's many places that you can open it. I think there's 3 to be exact. And there's little notches in some of the corners that you can tear it open with. One on the side, one on this side for the longer end, and 2 on the shorter end, one on one side and one on the other. I usually open it from the shorter end because I can take out what I need and save the rest for later. So this is the tool I use to scoop it out with. You can use any tool, I just find this one easier. And I just scoop out what I need as I need it. And then I take the packet and I fold it down so that, see, the air won't get in there. So you fold it down, and then I use a clothespin and I keep it closed as I'm working because it does take me a while to work with the Sugru sometimes, and I don't want it to dry out as I'm working on the doll. And now I can set this aside and I can start working on the doll's pom-pom. Sugru is moldable glue, so basically it'll stick to any surface, and once you get it stuck there, it adheres itself like a regular glue would, but you can also mold it, which is pretty cool. So here you'll see me using the tool to make it look like a pom-pom, the little top of her hat. But it does stick to the surface of her hat, and I don't have to worry about it coming off when it dries. Here's a good tip for you. Always make sure to paint the Sugru before it dries, even if it's just a base coat. I usually wait about 30 minutes and then paint it. And the reason is because Sugru is waterproof, and if you paint it before it dries, the acrylic will adhere to the waterproof Sugru, but if you wait till afterwards, it won't bond with it at all. And now that we've used what we need, we're going to store the Sugru so that it doesn't go bad. I do this by folding it down to get as much air out as possible, and then I take a piece of tape and I tape it down. Now there are other ways of doing this, and I'll give you another example in a minute, but for right now I'll show you the way that I use all the time. So once that's taped so it's airtight, I take a piece of plastic wrap and I start to roll the Sugru in the plastic wrap, making sure to keep all of the air out as much as possible. Just keep rolling it and folding the edges in to make it airtight. Now I have heard of other people taking an iron and the Sugru packet and just ironing the end of it to reseal it. I haven't done this method, I have only done it the way that you see now. Once it's wrapped up nice and tight in the plastic wrap, I take a small Ziploc bag, I push it into the corner, and then I try to get as much air as possible out of the bag as I am rolling it up and closing it. You'll see me do it now. I'll push it halfway closed and then fold it up and push the rest closed afterwards. So I'm getting as much air out of it as possible. Once this step is done, I'll take a rubber band and I'll just rubber band the entire thing closed. And you may think this is a lot of steps, but you're trying to keep the air out of the Sugru so it won't dry, and this makes it pretty airtight. Then I store it in the refrigerator. That's the best place to store it because cold Sugru takes longer to dry. Okay, so the bigger packet is the one that I just did. The smaller packet has been in my fridge for at least 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. So I'm going to show you what it looks like now that I have had it in there for a couple of weeks. So you'll see me opening it here. And yes, I do need to use the pair of scissors to cut the tape open, but it's not so bad. If you think you only need a little bit of it, then just be careful when you're cutting it open not to cut the entire packet. If it doesn't matter, you can just cut the whole packet open and use all of it. And here we go, the moment of truth. Let's pull it out and see what it looks like. It's actually very pliable. It's like it's brand new. And it's been sitting in my fridge for at least 2 to 3 weeks, so that should tell you something right there. Who's ready to see how my little girl came out? Well, here she comes. Here she is. I used Sugru on her hat, her clothes, and her boots. I've also used it on these two for their apple and their pumpkin. Of course, I used it on this little Minnie Mouse for her ears and her little bow. I use it all the time on my lookalikes for hair. Usually people want me to add longer hair. And of course, on all my unicorns for their horns, their ears, and their little tails. Remember to subscribe to our channel so you can see all of our upcoming videos. And thank you so much for watching us today. If you'd like to see another video, just click on the link.